everyone, let me tell y'all something right now. You will never reach your full potential until you learn how to love yourself, not just like yourself. I said love yourself more than anyone else ever could. Let me tell y'all something that might sting a little, but it's the truth. You will never, and I mean never, get to where you're supposed to be in life if you keep waiting on somebody else to love you and to believing you're worthy. See, we got this thing backwards. We're out here looking for confirmation from people who don't even know who they are. You trying to build your self-worth on someone else's broken foundation. How that gonna work? I need you to hear me. The most important relationship you'll ever have, more than your mama, more than your spouse, more than your kids, is the one you have with you. Because at the end of the day, when all the lights go off, when you're laying there alone with your thoughts, you know who shows up. You do. And if you don't like the person you're showing up as, if you don't value that person, you're going to spend your whole life trying to be what you think other people want instead of who you were created to be. See, I spent a long time trying to be what folks needed from me. I wanted to be the good friend, the right partner, the dependable son, the funny guy, the man with all the answers. But deep down, I was exhausted. You know why? Because I hadn't done the work of loving me yet. I hadn't looked at my scars and said, you're still worthy. I hadn't looked at my failures and said, you're still valuable. I was so busy performing for the crowd, I forgot to take care of the performer. Let me break this down. When you love yourself more than anyone, you stop negotiating your peace. You stop begging people to pick you. You stop trying to prove yourself to folks who wouldn't notice your greatness if it slapped them in the face. Loving yourself is not some fancy quote you post online. It's not a bubble bath or a vacation. No, it's how you talk to yourself when you mess up. It's how you stand up for yourself when somebody disrespects you. It's how you walk away from things that look good, but ain't good for you. Now I know some of y'all might say, but that sounds selfish. Nah, it's survival. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you don't know how to love yourself, if you don't know how to speak life over yourself, how you gonna do that for anybody else? How you gonna be the parent, the leader, the partner you were meant to be? If every time you look in the mirror you see someone who ain't enough. See, the world will try to convince you every day that you're lacking something. Not pretty enough, not smart enough, not rich enough, not successful enough. And if you don't have a strong foundation built on real self-love, you'll believe that mess. You'll go out there buying things you can't afford, trying to impress people who don't even care, living a life that's out of alignment with your truth. All because you forgot who you were in the first place. Let me tell you something else. When you really love yourself, you don't stay in rooms where you feel small. You don't entertain friendships that drain you, jobs that belittle you, relationships that confuse you. You become protective of your energy, of your time, of your peace, because now you understand you're the asset, you're the prize. You don't need to be chosen when you've already chosen you. There was a time I was so broke, I couldn't even buy gas for my car. I was living out that car, wondering if I had missed my shot. And you know what saved me? Not money, not connections, not fame. It was the belief deep in my gut that I was worth more than the life I was living. That belief didn't come from nobody else. It came from me learning to love the man I saw in the mirror, even when that man was at his lowest. That's what carried me. That's what pushed me. That's what kept me from giving up. And I need you to find that in yourself. Not tomorrow, not when things get better. Right now, right in the middle of the mess. I need you to stop waiting on someone to tell you that you're enough. You already are. Stop waiting on somebody to choose you. Choose yourself. Stop waiting on life to feel perfect before you start loving the person living it. Start small. Start with how you talk to yourself when nobody's around. Start with what you allow into your spirit, what you listen to, who you hang with, what you tolerate. Start with forgiving yourself. Some of y'all walking around with guilt that's been weighing on you for years. Let that go. You're human. You made mistakes. Welcome to the club. But that don't mean you're not worthy of love. That don't mean you don't deserve peace. That don't mean your future has to be chained to your past. So let me say this again, and I want it to settle in your spirit. Learn to love yourself more than anyone, more than your ex, more than your friends, more than your job title. Because when you love yourself, you set the tone for how the world should love you. When you love yourself, you stop chasing things that were never meant for you. When you love yourself, you finally give yourself permission to be free. And that kind of love, that changes everything. That's when life starts answering back. Let me tell you something real, and I want you to let this sit with you for a minute. At some point in your life, If you ever want to live out your purpose, if you ever want to become the person you were truly born to be, you're going to have to jump. You're going to have to take a leap without a guarantee. You're going to have to move when it don't make sense to anybody else, including yourself. That's what stepping out on faith looks like. It ain't cute. It ain't easy. But I promise you it's necessary. Now I know what you're thinking. What if I fall? And listen, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. You just might. But let me flip that question for you. What if you fly? What if that leap takes you into the exact life you've been praying for, but you never got there because you were too scared to leave the egg? See, comfort is a dangerous thing. It feels good, but it'll rob you. It'll steal your future while it keeps you feeling safe. Some of y'all been sitting in the same place, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, for years, just because it's familiar. You've been talking about your dream, but you ain't made a move. You've been asking God for more, but you haven't taken the first step with what he already gave you. That ain't faith. That's fear dressed up like wisdom. Faith don't mean you're not scared. It just means you do it anyway. And the problem with most people is they want a blueprint before they move. They want to see step 2, 3, and 4 before they even take step 1. But that ain't how this works. God don't show you the whole staircase. He just shows you enough to take the first step. And if you ain't bold enough to move on that, you'll miss the blessing completely. I remember the first time I really had to jump in my own life. I was broke. I didn't have a backup plan. Nobody was calling me. Nobody was booking me. And it felt like everything around me was falling apart. But in my spirit, I knew it was time. I couldn't explain it. I couldn't justify it. But I felt it deep in my soul. I had to leap. And that leap didn't come with applause. It didn't come with safety. It came with fear. It came with doubt. But it also came with growth. With every scary, uncertain, messy step I took, I got closer to the version of me that I was always meant to be. Now hear me. You are not going to get to your destiny staying in your comfort zone. You cannot pray for a life of impact and play it safe at the same time. You're going to have to do something radical. You're going to have to jump. And when you do, yes, you might fall. Yes, it might hurt. Yes, people might talk. But baby, there is something waiting for you on the other side of fear that is so much greater than anything you'll ever find playing it safe. And let me say this too. Don't expect everybody to understand your leap. They didn't get the vision you got. They didn't hear what you heard when you were praying. Stop looking for permission from people who didn't hear your calling. They don't see what's inside of you. You're not crazy, you're chosen. And chosen people can't live like everybody else. You're going to feel different. You're going to move different. You're going to be misunderstood. But that's what comes with elevation. Some of y'all keep asking for signs. God show me. God send confirmation. Let me help you out. The dream is the sign. The vision you can't shake. That's the sign. The thing that won't leave your spirit no matter how many times you try to ignore it. That's the sign. You already got the green light. You're just afraid to hit the gas. But how long are you going to let fear drive? Fear's only job is to keep you average. That's it. It's not there to protect you. It's not there to guide you. It's there to limit you. Every time fear shows up, it's trying to rob you of something that belongs to you. So you can either let it sit in the driver's seat, or you can buckle up, tell it to ride in the back and move anyway. You were not created to play small. You were not created to blend in. There is something inside you that the world needs, but the world can't get it if you keep hiding it behind doubt and delay. That book you were supposed to write, somebody's waiting to read it. That business you're afraid to start, somebody's life depends on it. That gift you keep pushing down because it feels too risky, that's the very thing that's going to set you free. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to be available. God don't need perfect people. He uses willing ones, broken ones, scared ones, but they gotta be moving. You can't steer a parked car. You gotta get in gear and go. And no, it won't be easy. Growth never is. But would you rather struggle for a season or stay stuck for a lifetime? Would you rather hurt a little now or live with regret forever? That's the choice you gotta make. You either leap or you lose. And when you do leap, something shifts. You start to see what you're really made of. You start to build confidence. You realize you're stronger than you thought, smarter than you gave yourself credit for, more capable than people told you. And before you know it, that fear that once had a hold on you, it don't even speak the same language as you anymore. Because now you're soaring. Now you've stepped into the flow of who you were born to be. And you don't owe nobody an explanation. Just keep flying. Just keep showing up. Just keep trusting that leap. Even when it's scary. Especially when it's scary. Because that's where the good stuff lives. You will never find your wings standing on the ground. Let me ask you a question. What's your gift? I ain't talking about your job title. I ain't talking about your due to pay the bills. I'm talking about that thing inside you that nobody had to teach you. That thing you do effortlessly, that comes to you like breathing, that's your gift. And let me tell you something, until you tap into that gift, until you give it room to grow, until you put it to use in the way it was designed, you will always feel like something is missing. See, we live in a world that'll try to pull you in 100 directions. They'll tell you to be practical. They'll tell you to play it safe. They'll try to talk you into chasing security instead of chasing purpose. But here's what they won't tell you. Security without purpose still feels empty. You can have the nice car, the big house, the stable paycheck, and still wake up every day feeling like you're just going through the motions. Because deep down you know you're not doing what you were born to do. You've got to find your gift. That's the whole key. That's where the fulfillment is. That's where the doors start opening. That's where life starts making sense. You were not placed on this earth to just pay bills and die. You were placed here to make an impact. You were placed here to solve a problem that only you can solve. And that's why your gift matters. Not just for you, but for everybody connected to your obedience. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking, but I don't know what my gift is. All right, start by paying attention. What do people come to you for without you even trying? What can you do that brings you peace, brings you joy, and blesses other people at the same time? It might be in your hands. It might be in your voice. It might be in the way you listen, the way you lead, the way you create. Don't you dare overlook it just because it comes easy to you. That ease, that's the sign. That's the evidence. That's the fingerprint of the gift. But here's the other side of it, and I need you to lean in on this one. It ain't enough just to have the gift. You got to use it. You got to protect it. You got to develop it. A gift is like a seed. You can't just hold it in your hand and admire it. You got to plant it. You got to water it. You got to be patient when it doesn't grow overnight. Some of y'all got a gift, but you buried it under fear. You buried it under what people said. You buried it under distractions and excuses. And now you wonder why life feels heavy. Let me tell you something. Your gift was never meant to sit dormant. It was meant to work. It was meant to produce. But it won't do any of that if you don't believe in it first. People ask me all the time, how do I succeed? And I tell them, start with your gift. That's your lane. That's your advantage. That's the thing that sets you apart in a crowded world. If you stay in your gift, you don't have to compete. You just be. That's where your excellence lives. That's where your anointing flows. And let me say this too. Don't get discouraged if your gift don't make you money right away. That's not failure. That's foundation. You're building something that lasts. Everything great takes time. You ain't supposed to blow up overnight. You're supposed to grow up over time. The fruit will come, but only if you keep sowing. Only if you keep showing up for the thing God placed inside you. You might be working a job right now that has nothing to do with your gift. That's all. Do what you gotta do to survive, but don't you dare forget to feed your gift. Don't you dare get so caught up in the hustle that you abandon what makes your soul come alive. The job pays the bills, but your gift pays the purpose. And purpose is what makes life worth living. You ever notice how some people just light up when they talk about what they love? That's what happens when somebody starts using their gift. You can feel it. You can see it. It's electric. It's magnetic. That's what happens when you live aligned with what you were created to do. And the beautiful thing about your gift is, it's yours. Nobody else can take it. Nobody else can duplicate it. They might try, but they'll never be able to do it like you do. That's how you know it's divine. But let me warn you, it's going to get tested. When you start walking in your gift, the enemy going to try to distract you, discourage you, delay you. People will criticize you, misunderstand you, maybe even walk away from you. But don't let that shake you. That's just confirmation that you're headed in the right direction. When you start operating in your gift, it's going to make some folks uncomfortable, especially the ones still ignoring their own. Keep going anyway. Keep writing. Keep singing. Keep building. Keep dreaming. Keep showing up for the thing that lights you up, because that fire inside you, that's what the world needs. That's what generations coming behind you need to see. You don't even know who's watching you right now, praying for the courage to follow their own gift, just because they saw you do it first. And when the day comes, and it will, when the doors finally open, when the opportunities start lining up, when you look around and realize you're living the life you used to pray for, you'll know exactly how you got there. It wasn't luck. It wasn't chance. It was the gift. The one you didn't bury. The one you refused to ignore. The one you kept using even when nobody clapped. That gift will make room for you. It'll open doors that no man can shut. Let me tell you something that's going to set some of y'all free. Everybody can't go with you. I know that's a hard truth. I know it don't feel good, especially when you've loved people, grown up with them, maybe even struggled with them. You want to take everybody with you. You want them to see what you see, believe what you believe, grow like you're trying to grow. But real talk, some folks are only meant to be in your life for a season. And if you try to drag people into the next chapter who were only meant for the last one, you'll slow down everything that's supposed to be speeding up. You ever try to run a race while carrying luggage? That's what it feels like when you try to bring everybody with you who ain't built for your future. You start off strong, but after a while you're tired, frustrated, drained because you're carrying dead weight. And that dead weight might look like an old friend, a relationship that's gone nowhere for years, a family member who keeps throwing shade, people who love the old you but can't handle the new one. And the moment you start elevating, here they come talking about you've changed. Well, yeah, I have changed. That's the point of growth. If I'm the same person I was 5 years ago, that means I've been stuck, and I ain't in the business of staying stuck. Listen to me. Elevation requires separation. You can't take off without leaving the ground, and some folks in your life, that's exactly what they are, ground level. They love you where you were, but they can't handle where you're going. They don't want to grow. They don't want to stretch. They don't want to heal. And if you keep waiting on them to catch up, you're going to miss what's ahead. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't saying you got to cut everybody off and walk around with a cold heart. This ain't about being rude. This is about protecting your purpose. This is about understanding that where you're headed, the people around you either got to grow with you or go without you. And I know it hurts. I know what it feels like to outgrow people you thought would be with you forever. But you've got to stop watering relationships that no longer bear fruit. Stop pouring into people who ain't ever poured into you. Stop explaining yourself to folks who are committed to misunderstanding you. Your piece is too expensive to be handing out to people who don't value it. Some of y'all are so loyal to history that you're sabotaging your destiny. Just because you've known someone for a long time doesn't mean they deserve a front row seat in your life. The length of a connection don't equal the strength of it. I've had people walk into my life for a short time and do more for my growth than folks who've been around for decades, because alignment is more important than attachment. Let me break that down. Alignment means we're headed in the same direction. It means we speak the same language. It means we want similar things out of life. Attachment, that's just proximity. Just because someone's been next to you doesn't mean they're for you. Some people are attached to your comfort, not your calling. They're cool with you as long as you stay small, as long as you don't outshine them, as long as you don't start believing in yourself too much. But the minute you start walking in confidence, the minute you start setting boundaries, the minute you start doing the inner work, they start acting funny. That's not love, that's control. And you don't owe that kind of energy another second of your time. And let me make it plain. Growth will cost you people, but it'll never cost you your real ones. The people who are truly for you, who love you at your core, who want to see you win, they won't shrink when your light shines. They won't guilt trip you for leveling up. They'll clap for you. They'll pray for you. They'll adjust with you. That's how you know who's supposed to go with you. Everybody else, let them watch from the stands. And while we're at it, let's talk about the guilt. That heavy feeling you get when you know you've outgrown a space but you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. Let me ask you this, when was the last time you put your own feelings first? When was the last time you chose? You keep shrinking yourself to make others comfortable, but meanwhile your soul is suffocating. Let me remind you, you don't owe anyone an apology for growing. You don't owe anyone an explanation for evolving. You're not selfish for protecting your peace. You're not wrong for walking away from chaos. That's called maturity. Sometimes the greatest act of self-love is saying goodbye. Goodbye to the old habits. Goodbye to the toxic circles. Goodbye to the versions of yourself you had to be just to survive. You ain't there anymore, and that's okay. You're becoming. You're stepping into something new. And in order to do that, you've got to clear the room. You've got to make space for the kind of people who match your energy, match your vision, match your values. Because the higher you go, the tighter the circle gets. That's not loneliness. That's alignment. And when you finally let go of who you don't need, you make room for who you do. You start attracting people who see you clearly, who celebrate your growth, who hold you accountable without tearing you down. You start having relationships built on truth, not convenience. You start living a life that actually feels like yours, not one you're pretending to be okay with just to keep everybody happy. So yeah, everybody can't go, and that's not a loss, it's a filter. It's life making room for better. Let it. Walk forward and don't look back. Hey, let me tell you something that took me a long time to learn. You are not what you've been through. I know life has thrown some heavy punches. I know you've been knocked down, pushed back, overlooked, counted out. Some of you have been betrayed by people you trusted the most. Some of you were raised in environments that didn't nurture your self-worth. Some of you carry pain so deep you don't even talk about it out loud. But I need you to hear me when I say this. Your past is what happened to you, not who you are. See, the problem is we start to wear our pain like an identity. We take what someone said in anger, what someone did out of their brokenness, and we start repeating it to ourselves like it's gospel. I'm not enough. I'll never be successful. I always mess things up. And before we know it, we're living under labels that were never meant for us. We're letting shame dictate how we see ourselves. But listen, your value doesn't change because someone else couldn't see it. Your worth isn't up for debate just because you made some mistakes. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too far gone. You are not damaged goods. You're human. You've been through some storms, yeah, but you're still standing. You've been through some nights that didn't make sense, but you woke up anyway. You've cried tears nobody saw. You've carried burdens nobody clapped for, but you didn't quit. That strength, that resilience, that's the real you. And don't you ever let what happened to you convince you that you are less than. Matter of fact, let me flip that for you. Everything you've been through, that's evidence of your power. That's proof that you can endure, adapt, rise again. Some of the most beautiful people I've ever met are the ones who've been through the hardest stuff, but they didn't let it make them bitter. They let it make them better. See, pain can do one of two things. It can build you or it can break you. And that choice, that's on you. You can let your pain define you or you can let it refine you. You can stay stuck in the story or you can start writing a new one. The enemy wants you to stay in shame. He wants you to keep rehearsing your failures. He wants you to stay in cycles where you never forgive yourself, where you sabotage anything good that comes your way. But that's not what you were created for. You were created to heal. You were created to grow. You were created to walk in wholeness, not in pieces. And that journey starts the moment you decide that you're not going to let your past lead your future anymore. You've got to make peace with what happened. You've got to stop replaying the betrayal, the loss, the mistake, not because it didn't hurt, not because it didn't shape you, but because it's time to stop letting it own you. Some of you are still bleeding from wounds that happened years ago because you never gave yourself permission to heal. You just kept moving, kept pretending, kept pushing forward without ever really stopping to process the pain. And now it shows up in your relationships, in how you talk to yourself, in the way you react when things get hard. That's not weakness. That's unhealed trauma. But the beautiful thing is, healing is always possible. It just starts with honesty. Be real with yourself about what hurt you. Name it, confront it, and then release it. Not for them, but for you. Forgiveness ain't about saying what happened was okay. It's about saying, I'm not going to let this have power over me anymore. You can't soar while holding on to weight you were never meant to carry. You've got to put it down so you can rise up. And here's the truth. You deserve to be free. You deserve to know what joy feels like without guilt tagging along. You deserve to love yourself without conditions. You deserve to show up in the world without apologizing for your existence. And I know it might feel unnatural at first. I know that when you've lived in survival mode for a long time, peace can feel unfamiliar, but lean into it anyway. Give yourself permission to be whole. Give yourself permission to believe in a future that looks nothing like your past. You can rewrite your story starting today. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need everything figured out. All you need is the courage to take that first step, to believe that you are worthy of more than what you've been through, that you can build a life rooted in purpose, not in pain, that the best chapters of your life haven't even been written yet. And don't worry about the people who only know the old version of you. They weren't there for the tears you cried, the nights you prayed, the battles you fought in silence. They don't know what it took for you to still be here. So you don't owe them a single explanation for why you're walking differently now. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. Your growth is your testimony. Let your life be the evidence. Let your healing be loud. Let your freedom shine through your smile. Let your story inspire somebody who thinks they're too broken to be whole again. Because they're watching. Somebody out there is praying for the strength to overcome what you've already survived. And your courage, your willingness to rise, that gives them hope. So keep going, keep growing, keep healing. The pain may have shaped you, but it doesn't get to define you. Let me talk to you about something real: boundary. Now I know that word makes some people uncomfortable, especially if you grew up thinking love meant always saying yes, always being available, always sacrificing yourself to keep the peace. But let me break it down for you. Setting boundaries doesn't make you mean. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you healthy. See, one of the biggest lessons I had to learn the hard way was this: not everybody deserves access to me. Just because someone wants your time, your energy, your attention, doesn't mean they're entitled to it. You've only got so much to give, and if you spend your life trying to be everything for everybody, you'll wake up one day realizing you've been nothing for yourself. You've got to start asking yourself, does this feed me or does this drain me? Does this relationship help me grow or does it keep me stuck? Because what you tolerate will become your standard. And if you keep letting people cross lines, walk all over your peace, disrespect your time, take without giving, eventually you'll start to believe that's just the way it has to be. But it doesn't. You get to decide what's acceptable in your life. You get to draw the line. Now I'm not saying it's easy. When you start setting boundaries, people are going to get uncomfortable, especially the ones who benefited from your lack of them. You ever notice that the moment you start saying no, the moment you stop overextending yourself, here come the guilt trips, the silent treatments, the accusations. You've changed. No, I didn't change. I just stopped letting people walk all over me. I stopped breaking my own heart just to keep everybody else happy. You've got to understand something. The people who truly love you, the people who really care about your well-being, they'll respect your boundaries. They won't try to manipulate you into doing what's best for them. They'll support you in doing what's best for you. But the people who are only using you, they're going to fall off. And as painful as that might feel, that's actually a blessing. Because boundaries are not just about protecting your peace, they're also about exposing who's really for you. And it's not just about people, it's about your habits too. Some of y'all need to set boundaries with yourselves. Boundaries with how much time you waste on distractions. Boundaries with how often you talk down to yourself. Boundaries with how much of your day you give away to things that don't serve your future. You say you want peace, you say you want purpose, but you keep entertaining chaos. You keep going back to the same habits that keep you small. And here's the truth. Nothing changes until you change what you're willing to tolerate. Start telling yourself the truth. That relationship that's been draining you for years, you don't owe it your forever just because you gave it your past. That job that's been robbing you of joy, maybe it's time to stop settling and start building something new. That friend who only comes around when they need something. That's not friendship, that's convenience. You've got to stop making excuses for people who show you over and over they don't respect your boundary. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but if I set boundaries, I might lose people. Let me tell you something. Anybody you lose by choosing to protect your peace was never truly there for you in the first place. Real love can handle boundaries. Real respect honors limits. The people who are supposed to be in your life will adjust. They'll grow with you. They'll learn how to love you better when you teach them how. But they can't learn if you don't teach. They can't respect the line if you never draw. You've got to give people a blueprint for how to treat you. And that starts with how you treat you. If you constantly neglect yourself, if you constantly say yes when you want to say no, if you constantly make yourself small just to be accepted, people will take your silence as permission. And silence is a dangerous agreement. That's how you end up living a life that don't even feel like yours. So say no when you mean it. Don't explain, don't apologize. Just no. Say yes to what aligns with your peace, your values, your purpose. Say yes to rest. Say yes to healing. Say yes to the kind of love that doesn't come with conditions or guilt. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. You weren't put on this earth to be a doormat. You weren't created to be a dumping ground for other people's drama. You have dreams, goals, a calling that deserves space to breathe. And if your environment doesn't support that, it's time to change the environment or change how much of yourself you offer to it. And let me say this to the people who are scared to disappoint others. You can disappoint others or you can disappoint yourself, but one of them is going to happen. And every time you choose them over you, you're teaching yourself that your needs don't matter, that your peace is negotiable, but it's not. Your peace is a priority. Your mental health is a priority. Your purpose is a priority. And anyone who truly cares about you will understand that, even if it takes them a little time. Protecting your peace is one of the highest forms of self-love. It's how you show yourself that you matter. It's how you make space for the right people, the right opportunities, the right kind of growth to come in. but it starts with one simple decision. I will no longer abandon myself to make others comfortable. Draw the line and stand on it.